Okay, was machen wir? Er hat alle jetzt in seiner Hand. Was benutzen wir? Es ist ausweglos eigentlich. Ich würde sagen, wir benutzen Evidence. Yes, as I know only too well. The only thing that carries any weight in court is hard evidence. Yo, was geht mit der Musik? But Mr. Naruhodo, what evidence is there to use at this stage in the trial? Yo, ist das einfach Pursuit, aber noch stärker? I have an idea. I don't know whether anything would come of it, but if there was ever a time for using this particular item we have among the evidence, it's now. Und ich weiß genau, was es ist. I was lucky charm. Wir müssen Hörlock rufen. Es führt kein Weg dran vorbei.
Take that!
Oh my. Yes, Mr. Sholmes asked if you had that with you earlier. We've exposed all of Lord Strongheart's wrongdoing now. I've no doubt Mr. Sholmes had already deduced exactly how the truth would unfurl. Alter, die Musik gerade. So I think it must be time for the great detective to take center stage, don't you? Yes, absolutely. Let's take the hair by the ears then. And Heath. Alright, here goes. Heath! Ow, 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 ow! My dear fellows, I must remind you every time, a gentle attack will suffer. Mr. Sholmes, you're looking in quite the wrong direction, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh nein. Because I'm over here. Ah, Mr. Naruhodo, he's... Bitte? It's Mr. Sholmes. Als Hologramm? I wasn't expecting you back, Sholmes. Delighted to be here again, Lord Strongheart. What is the meaning of this? Bailiff, seize him! Put that man in irons. This is a close court. You've been warned once already, man. What the? We can't get in all of them, my lord. We just go right through him. Oh man. I'm afraid your efforts are wasted, you see. Das ist da immer so tanzig. The great detective you see before you is composed entirely of light and shadow. An image, if you will. Mr. Naruhodo, I must congratulate you on your fine deductions. Mr. Sholmes, what on earth is... Are you familiar, I wonder, with the invention known as a telephone? Well yes, I hear that some public telephones have been installed recently in Tokyo. The sound of the speaker voice is converted to an electrical sign and transmitted instantly to another place. Quiet. Sounds are transmitted, so could not images keep them company, I mused. Iris and I did some modest experimentation to develop such a device specifically for this very day. Modest experimentation, Mr. Sholmes? What a modest description. And, somewhat incidentally, I thought we might just as well transmit an entire scene. Somewhat incidentally, Mr. Sholmes. Now you are just being immodest. Do you mean to say you're not actually here, Mr. Sholmes? Ah, I knew my trusty partner would have no trouble grasping the concept. Except he's grasping the sand to steady himself after your shock arrival. Poor father, I would have hoped he might have been forewarned, being the great detective's great partner. Leave my courtroom at once. Get out, or I swear to you. Dear me, you on the other hand, Lord Strongheart, appear to have a very poor grasp of the situation. Allow me to reiterate, I am not here, which would I hope lead naturally to one asking, where exactly are you? The very question I was awaiting. I am at present enjoying the air in a rather splendid garden. A garden? Not just any garden, you understand. A garden at Buckingham Palace. What? You can't be! Buckingham Palace! What's Buckingham Palace, Mr. Sato? I've never heard of it. Do you ever read the news, Mr. Naruhodo? Mr. Sholmes? Is Iris with you there? Ah, well now. Iris is currently enjoying some tea. With Her Majesty. Her Majesty? Not just any Her Majesty, you understand. Her Majesty is the Queen of the British Empire. What? What on earth is all this about? Buckingham Palace is Her Majesty the Queen's residence in London, Mr. Naruhodo. Order! Order in court! I demand immediate silence! Her Majesty the Queen! You can't be... I mean... No! This is some sort of unforgivably distasteful trickery by a third-rate detective. That's all. Unforgivably distasteful trickery? What an apt description. A closed court session attended by elite members of the judiciary is a rare event. I presume that Her Majesty would be more than a little curious about the proceedings. So, I decided to show her everything from start to finish. Huh? You showed her? Indeed. By dint of the Sherlock Holmes remote cinematograph. You meddling... This is some kind of nightmare. Just as I appeared to be standing before you, regaling you with talk of my latest invention. No doubt you've inferred that the reverse is also true. Hat das alles übertragen. Das Genie. You don't mean... Her Majesty has seen and heard every moment of the proceedings. I assumed there would be no objection. After all, every trial in this country is conducted under the auspices of Her Majesty, as you know. I confess, I am quite impatient to Her Majesty's opinion about the unforgivably distasteful trickery in which you've been engaged over the past 10 years. No, I was merely... Oh, so sorry to keep you all waiting. Vicky and I had so much to talk about. Iris, there you are. In fact, I have a little message here from Her Majesty. A message? Well then, if everyone is sitting comfortably. Ahem. Forthwith and with immediate effect, all authority previously afforded to my Strongheart is hereby revoked forevermore. Furthermore, he will be prosecuted for crimes against this country in a public trial by jury in the coming days. So, it seems that Her Majesty doesn't believe we need to fight fire with fire. Justice in this country needn't be administered from the shadows at all. Mel Strongheart, the darkness you fostered to conceal your despicable actions these last 10 years is a thing of the past now. After today, your brand of law and order has no future, because no longer are you the Lord Chief Justice. In the eyes of the law and of Her Majesty the Queen, you are nothing but a criminal. Damn. Damn. Adjourned! 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 Court is adjourned! Well? Oh no. Hoho. Aber sowas von schuldig. Yo, ist das episch gemacht. Junge, Junge. Puh, 5:05. Lord Clint Van Zieks left the will in which he confessed to everything. When those words came out of Asogi's mouth, it deranged me completely. I knew I must do anything and everything in my power to contain the situation. But I couldn't find the damned document. I searched the cell, but it wasn't there. Which precipitated the jailbreak plot, I presume. What do you mean? The need to obtain that will was all-consuming. I was sure that if I facilitated Asogi's escape, he would emerge with the will somewhere in his persona, on his person. But despite searching his limp body in the cemetery that night, it still eluded me. It never even crossed my mind that it was concealed in the sword silt. What pains me now is that my brother left this world without a word to me. I'm so sorry, Lord Van Zieks. In point of fact, I think perhaps that isn't the case. Sorry? How can that be? There's more to his last will and testament. What? As I confront the prospect of my demise, I feel bitter regret for my younger brother. Baroque, you have always looked up to me, and now you follow in my footsteps to become a prosecutor. It is my fervent wish that my unspeakable deeds should not hinder your advancement. I ask not for understanding, for none could understand my depravity. I ask only for forgiveness. Asogi is a fine detective and a hunter worthy of respect. He has agreed to honor my final two wishes. The first is that his document survives. The second, I cannot commit to paper. I have confessed my sins to my wife. May she find resolution in my death. With my eternal gratitude to my Japanese friend, I rest my quill. Clint Van Zieks. Clint. Mel Strongheart. You colluded with Sashiro Jigoku in a criminal plot so immense it spans the oceans. And you cold-heartedly murdered all those who knew the truth about what happened 10 years ago. But why did you set about that now, a whole decade later? To ascend to the very peak. These last 10 years made me realize being the Lord Chief Justice wasn't enough. Short of becoming Her Majesty's Attorney General, I could have no real power to effect the changes needed in this country. And for that promotion, I needed to ensure no remnants of the past remained. How could you? I like everything to run smoothly, in the exact manner that I prescribed, like a well-oiled machine. And I was just a step away. And for your ambition to succeed, did you even bother to count the number of brilliant people you had killed? Ah, Mr. Reaper, are you not forgetting something? Such as... You've very much adopted your usual prosecutor-like manner in the proceedings now. But the reality of the situation is that you are the defendant in this trial. Ah! However, the presiding judge would appear to have fallen from the bench, as it were. May I suggest, therefore, that we entrust the final adjudication to an old friend? Da ist er wieder. My lord! As a member of the judiciary, I have been following the proceedings from the gallery. And I must say, I shan't ever forget the extraordinary battle between good and evil that I witnessed here today. The darkness that has blighted justice in our land these past 10 years has at last been dispelled. Thanks, in no small part, to the effort of a bright young star from the east. Defense Counsel Naruhodo. Yes, my lord? On behalf of everyone here present in the Old Bailey, I give you my heartfelt thanks. You are too kind, my lord. It's the first time I faced you in court, just under a year ago now. I had the faintest of intimations that if British justice, so robbed and twisted over its long history, was finally to know change, this might just be the man to do it. What? But at the time, I wouldn't allow myself to acknowledge the possibility. I couldn't overcome my hatred of the Japanese after the circumstances of my brother's death. Mr. Naruhodo, allow me to apologize for countless discourtesies on my part. You are a lawyer of boundless talent. Oh, Lord Van Zieks. When I first arrived in Great Britain, I was literally a nobody, certainly not a lawyer. The truth is, my fortunes have entirely been made by the miraculous people I've met. My best friend, Kazuma Azoki, who led me here to Britain in the first place. My loyal and ever patient judicial assistant, Mrs. Sato, who helped me study to become a lawyer. The brilliant Lord Van Zieks, who never failed to challenge this Nipponese rival. And not to mention, the exceptional master of logic and reasoning, who showed me the true art of deduction, Mr. Jones. Sang the best for last, Mr. Naruhodo. What a relief. I'm well aware that without all these people's help and support, I wouldn't be where I am today. The truth is a guiding light that always leads to happiness. I've lived by that principle for a long time now, but actually, it's not true. The truth can also cause great pain, sometimes even leave people on the brink of despair. And for that reason, there are those who feel the need to hide the truth, who do it instinctively. But as soon as we allow our eyes to settle on something other than the truth, the darkness takes over. And from there it grows, until eventually it makes us blind to the guiding light of the truth altogether. So that's why it's my belief that we must all resolve never to avert our eyes from what is just and true. So that we can continue to walk the straight and narrow path ahead. Well, I must excuse myself now. But before I go, Mr. Naruhodo, let me compliment you on your grand opus. What? Without your beautifully composed case against Lord Strongheart, Her Majesty would have been unable to act. Thanks to you and your fellows, the haunting and undertones corrupting Britain's justice system have been silenced. Thank you very much. So, until our paths cross again somewhere. Well then, it would appear that this long trial has finally come to an end. My apologies for any anxiety caused, my lord. I'm quite sure we shall meet again here in the courtroom before long, Prosecutor Baroque Van Zieks. In conclusion of these proceedings, I hereby declare the defendant, Barock van Siegs, not guilty 5:15 Uhr, ja. That is all. Court is adjourned. Dann bleibt ja eigentlich nur noch zu wissen, ob Ryunosuke nach Japan zurückkehrt oder nicht. Wie von Mikrotoba gefragt. 4th November, 4:21 p.m. The Old Bailey, defendant's antechamber. It really is all over. But did I sacrifice too much? Mr. Naruhodo, I really must congratulate you. It was a truly splendid performance. Honestly, I couldn't be happier for you. Oh, thank you very much. But I really couldn't have done it without you at my side through it all, Mr. Sato. Oh! Your kind words mean so much to me. It really was a very splendid show that, Mr. Naruhodo. I just thought you'd be smiling from ear to ear, but you look rather glum. Well, of course I'm delighted about the verdict, but in exposing the truth, I'm afraid I've caused my client a great deal of pain. I'm really not sure that's what a lawyer ought to be doing. Oh well, in that case, I'm quite sure that when you see Lord Van Sieg's smiling face, everything will seem much better. Ja, sein smiling face. Mr. Sato, everything seems worse. He has a face like thunder. Oh dear, I really shouldn't have presumed. Mr. Naruhodo. Yes? Almost a year it's been now, since I first encountered you here in this very courthouse. For you to have risen to the level of excellence you demonstrated today, well, it's quite remarkable. But I exposed the most unpalatable truth you could ever have imagined in court today. I feel as though I've robbed you of something you held so dear. What was it, he said? To fight those who dwell in the darkness requires at least some of us to occupy the darkness ourselves. But that was just the feeble excuse of a coward. Only those with a steadfast eye for the truth have what it takes to fight the dark forces of crime. You made fine work of establishing that fact in court today. Oh. Well, thank you. What magnanimous words. I'm quite sure that Kazuma-sama would have a smile on his face at this very moment if you were here. Kazuma. Auch kein Lächeln ins Gesicht. Mr. Sato, there's another face like thunder here. Oh my, and he really was here. Lord Van Siegs. Allow me to congratulate you on your acquittal. Congratulate me, or curse me. You failed to bring down the Reaper. I owe you an apology. No, it is I who should apologize. Zwei sehr interessante Charaktere in dem Spiel, muss ich sagen. Your father, Genshin, if I had been stronger, then perhaps I made an unforgivable error of judgment. I can offer no excuse. And I can offer no forgiveness. That's sad. I suppose you fought for justice and the truth. For that at least I can't withhold respect. Your words mean more to me than you could know. I will hold them dear. Kazuma-sama, I must say, there's one thing that's still bothering me. What's that? The will that Lord Clint Van Ziek swore before his duel with my father. Asogi is a fine detective and a hunter worthy of respect. He has agreed to honor my final two wishes. The first is that this document survives. The second, I cannot commit to paper. I have confessed my sins to my wife. May she find resolution in my death. With my eternal gratitude to my Japanese friend, I rest my quill. Clint Van Ziek. What can the second of his final wishes have been? That your father agreed to honor, you mean? I think perhaps I might be able to shed some light on that. What? Father! It was 10 years ago, as you know. The day before the execution was scheduled. I went to the prison to say my farewells to Genshin. Why aren't you putting up more of a fight, Genshin? If you'd only agreed to it, Sashiro and I would gladly petition the government. We've been through this already. You don't need to worry about me. Anyway, Eugene, I have a favor to ask of you. Something of great importance. Okay. The Tag vor der Exekution. You're one of my greatest friends, Genshin. Whatever it is, consider it done. I'm going to tell you an address. I need you to go there at once, in secret and telling no one. You should find a lady of the gentry in hiding there. A lady of the gentry? Was is gentry? Gentry. Oberschicht, okay. She's not in a good way, and she's with child. The birth is imminent. As a medical man, I'd like you to attend to her. Please, you're her only hope. By any chance, is the child yours, Genshin? Don't be daft. It's a favor that was asked of me by a man I knew, as his dying wish. Nein, oder? My goodness. I swore to the man that I would help. They would do whatever I could for his wife and his unborn child. But if something should happen to me, I need to ask you that same favor. You're the only person I know that I can truly rely on. What did you say? If something should happen to you. Tomorrow night, you're going to be... You never know though, do you? What life will bring. Alright then, tell me the address. I'll head there at once, with Sashiro and... No, not with him. Pardon. This is a favor I'm asking of you, and only you, Eugene. Right, I see. Very well then. That very night, I caught a train from Paddington to Dartmoor in Devon. I found the old house, in the middle of nowhere it was. An old hunting hund lays asleep in the grounds. Die sieht ein bisschen wie Iris aus. The poor woman was on the floor at the back of a darkened room. She was in mortal danger. I broke her waters to precipitate the labor before she weakened further, but it was a tortuous birth. I did everything humanly possible for her and her child. And in the end, I was lucky enough to welcome a new life into the world. But tragically, My efforts to save the mother's life were in vain. I held the healthy newborn girl in my arm and wept for longer than I cared to remember. Eventually, in something of a daze, I looked around the room. There was precious little in it, but an old travel trunk caught my eye. Mit nem B drauf. It had clearly been well looked after over the years, made of top quality leather with fine stitching. But it was when I saw the emblem on the side of it that everything dropped into place. B for Baskerville. Baskerville? You mean the woman was the wife of Lord Clint van Zieks? That's right. The newborn was his daughter. But that makes no sense. Why on earth wouldn't Clint have entrusted the child to my care in that case? I was completely unaware that he even had a daughter. I suppose he didn't really have any choice. What? Well, your brother said that he'd confessed everything to his wife. So she must have been beside herself with worry for a child. If the true identity of the professor were ever to be made public, the girl would be forever branded as the daughter of the infamous mass murderer. Ah! So the only solution was to distance the young girl from the Van Zieks family as much as possible. I don't believe it. I imagine in his final hour, Lord Clint van Zieks made the obvious choice. He would have thought to himself, this Japanese man here is someone I can trust. I honored my promise to Genshin, of course. However, only a month later, I was summoned back to Japan, and without disclosing the parentage of the child, I couldn't obtain permission to take her with me. Oh, how awful. I was completely at a loss. In the end, I had to ask my great friend. I asked him if he would be a father to her. That being Mr. Sholmes, I presume? Yes. He took one look into my eyes and agreed to it on the spot. Mr. Sholmes, he has a heart of gold. Really, all it can be said that I did for the child was to give her a name. Oh, natürlich, ist mir nicht aufgefallen, ne? Ist mir nicht aufgefallen. Aber Iris ist 10 Jahre alt. Iris ist 10 Jahre alt und vor 10 Jahren ist das Ganze passiert. Oh. When I come to it, I was trying to escape from the grief of losing my darling wife. So it was her name that I gave the little girl. Your wife's name, Professor Mikotoba. In other words, the name of my mother. Ayame Mikotoba. Oh. Okay. That's right, Ayame. Or in English, Iris. Iris. I had no idea. Ouch! Mr. Naruhodo, what's wrong? This little thing just pinched me on the behind through my trouser pocket hard. Ah, my dear fellows, can you hear me? Mr. Sholmes, is that you? Ouch! Yes, we can hear you. You see what excessive tonguing can do. Let that be a lesson to you. Mr. Sholmes, we weren't able to thank you probably before. But you were simply marvelous. Your checkmate move was a stroke of genius. Indeed it was, wasn't it? I surpassed myself, I feel. It had become apparent to me that to stop the Lord Chief Injustice would require such measures. Bruno, Susie! Oh, Iris! Oh, I'm so pleased! What a wonderful outcome! Her Majesty Queen Vicky said she thought my special blend was delicious. Oh, I'm sure she did. After all, no one brews a more delicious tea than you do, Iris. Let's have a party to celebrate. And Mr. Weeper, you simply must come too. What? I'm afraid I couldn't. The Weeper of the Bailey, flustered by a 10-year-old girl. Again. No, really? Oh, pooh. But I give you my word that I shall present myself at your residence in the near future to express my gratitude. Oh, how lovely. You've promised now. I won't let you forget. Bye for now then. Alright, Iris. Thank you for all your help earlier. Oh, that was nothing. Just come back home soon. Ouch! One final pinch goodbye, was it? Okay. Well, I think I ought to be leaving. Lord Van Zieks, would you care to accompany me? Certainly. Mr. Naruhodo, allow me once again to express my deep gratitude to you. I believe you saved my life. Wait, Lord Van Zieks! Yes? What are you intending to do now? Well, clearly, I shall have to resign from the prosecutor's office. Oh no! I intend to publicize the full truth about the professor case. Once that's done, the Van Zieks family will be ostracized completely from London society. Surely not. So as soon as I am free from my employment, I shall leave the capital. Oh, I see. Don't be a fool. Are those the actions of a man once feared as the mighty Reaper of the Bailey? I beg your pardon. For the past 10 years, you've endured that pseudonym and been cast as one of the dark forces yourself. Now that you've finally been freed from the disrepute, your battle is just beginning, surely. Well, I certainly never expected to hear those words from your lips. I waited a very long time to come to London. Now I'm properly here. I intend to learn all that I can. Anyway, goodbye for now, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Wiedersehen, Kazuma Azori. Kazuma Azori. It seems as though he's really matured suddenly. He's not the only one who's matured, Mr. Naruhodo. Well, I think we should make our way back to Baker Street. We must help Iris with tonight's dinner. We must. It was then that I came to an important decision about my future. Oh. Okay. 4th November, 6:25 p.m. Shown Suite. I'm home! Ich wusste, dass Gina nochmal auftauchen muss. About time you got here. We've been waiting ages, Otto. What are you doing with a colorful piece of history? It's a party, isn't it? It's gonna go off with a bang. I mean fireworks, ideally. But when you ain't got fire, smoke's the next best thing, ain't it? There's a girl on Fresno Street who could help you with that, I think. Right. I'll remember that. You don't have to reload that thing every time I speak. You really must hear this. It's quite the most extraordinary thing. I assure you, it will defy your expectations. Take down every detail now, Mikotoba. Ah, the world-famous great detective, regaling his partner with a tale of his adventure. A sight to behold. Would you care to hazard a guess? Where do you suppose the fiendish runaway had concealed himself? Would you believe? Inside the trunk I found abandoned in his cabin? I would believe it, yes. I say, Mikotoba, I detect not a hint of surprise. I wonder why that is, Maybe because I was there at the scene as well, Sholmes. What? You were? Then why didn't you say so before? Not quite the sight I was expecting to behold, but still. It's hard not to feel privileged to see it. Hello, Mr. Sholmes, Professor Mikotoba. I'm finally back from the baby. And not a moment too soon. A feast prepared by Iris and Miss Susato awaits. I must say, I haven't seen Susato looking so happy in a very long time. Ah, Ryuno, there you are. Ob sie noch das Geheimnis über ihren richtigen Vater erfahren wird? Dinner is on the table, everyone. Please do come and take a seat. Time to fill me boots. Goodness, is that really true, Gina? Yep, I'm losing my copper's clovers and gone back to what I know best. It's a diver's life for me. You're really leaving the police force? But why, Jenny? Well, the boss ain't around no more, so... Oh. And anyway, no matter how hard I try, that Reaper ain't never gonna accept a diver turned dick, is he? Well, people can change, you know? Ah, yes, that reminds me. I rather thoughtfully offered to relieve the bailiff of this now defunct piece of evidence. Eh? It's the inspector's pocket watch, and the crown has been reattached. That watch was his pride and joy, a symbol of his great achievements at Scotland Yard. For 10 years without fail, it measured every second of the man's remarkable career. But now, it stopped. Someone needs to keep the memory of Inspector Gregson's career alive, by taking on the great responsibility of winding that watch every single day again. Yes, someone with an equally fierce detective spirit. It's gotta be me! There ain't no one else. Quite right. I mean, after all, the boss was... Well, he was my boss. Yes, Jenny. Yes, he was. Finde ich gut. Oh yeah, and I made you a promise and all, didn't I, Iris? That I'd become a proper detective one day and track down your old man. Oh. Alright then, it's decided. I'll do it. And I swear. I'll find your dad and bring him in kitchen, kicking and screaming. I'm not entirely sure that would be appropriate. Yes, I think, Gina, it might be best to, well... I think I'd like you to forget that promise, Ginny. Eh? Iris? Well, obviously I've always wondered about who my real daddy is. Of course I have. I wanted to know where I've come from. I thought it might tell me something about myself. But I've caused such a lot of trouble trying to find out. For so many people. Hurley, Ryuno, Professor Mickey. Oh no, not at all, my dear. Really, you owe no apology to anyone. Well, anyway, I've decided to give up on it, because I finally realized my daddy is the greatest in the world. I don't think it matters what his name is, or where he's from. Don't you agree? Hurley? With every word, Iris. Thank you, Hurley. Thank you, Daddy. Süß. I think, Mikotoba. Yes, Sholmes? I think that I ought to express my gratitude to you. Oh! For 6 years, you and I solved many a mystery together. And during that time, I remember countless expressions of gratitude for our good services. But a moment ago, I heard the most pleasing expression of gratitude of them all. And I should never have experienced it, were it not for you. You're old softy it shows. But I must confess, it's the weight of my mind to hear you say it. Well then, I think this calls for a lengthy violin recital, wouldn't you say? Oh, well, the food would go cold, that's the only problem. Maybe next week, Curly? Are you sure a week is long enough, Iris? Okay. Even amidst the most troubling of cases, even reeling from the most shocking of revelations, returning in the evening to this suite of rooms, there's always warmth and happiness to be had. The home of the world's greatest detective, and my home too, with my greatest family. Fourth November, 9:57 p.m., Naruhodos Legal Consultancy. Wo sonst sollte es enden? This attic room has been my home and office for almost a year now. I've certainly had some unforgettable experiences whilst I've lived here. But I think now, the time has come. Time to bid this place farewell. Also er geht nach Japan. Naruhodo. Oh, Professor! Are you alone? I didn't hear any sound from Susato's room. Yes, Susato-san went out after dinner. She took a carriage. Something about an important matter she needed to take care of. Ah, I see. I wanted to thank you for what you did earlier. Oh! With Iris, I mean, when the subject of her father came up. Lord Clint Van Zieks. I made up my mind many years ago never to tell her who her real father was. It's what was agreed with Genshin after all. Lord Clint Van Zieks' final wishes before he died, you mean? Yes, I've had to take some rather drastic steps at times to protect that secret, you know? Calling Susato back to Japan 6 months ago, for example. Oh, that's why. When I read Soseki-san's report about his final days in London, my heart nearly stopped. He stumbled across the crux of the terrible case, the dog's collar. The description of the basketball insignia left me in no doubt. Basketball? If you decide to investigate that insignia, sooner or later you'd have made the connection to the Van Zieks. And to make matters worse, Susato knew of the unpublished story as well. The story that Iris had written based on my notes from the time. Ah yes, the Hooden of the Baskervilles. Exactly. It was a work of fiction, but based on the grim reality of a huge beast of a dog being used as a murder weapon. A dog with a Baskerville family emblem around its neck. Armed with those two clues, I feared you and Susato might arrive at the truth. So I invented the story about having collapsed to justify your leaving London and returning to Japan at once. All in aid of halting any investigations you and she might have been contemplating. I see. Something I've never understood is why Susato-san came across that manuscript in Japan though. You know, I was the Hood of the Baskerville story, I mean. Sholmes sent it to me. That was before Susato left Japan. He was very troubled about what should be done about it, you see? I'd read it and carelessly left it on my desk, which is where Susato came across it, of course. Ah. It was the only case Sholmes and I ever pursued that I didn't record in meticulous detail. I was stunned when I discovered that young Iris had pieced together so much of it from my poetry notes. Sholmes and I discussed the matter and decided that we couldn't allow the story's publication. At that point, I returned the manuscript by post to Sholmes for safekeeping. So you did all that to stop Iris from finding out the truth about her father? That's right, because Sholmes had told me how astute she'd become. However, having witnessed events in courts today, I must say my opinion has somewhat shifted. Oh. I think at some point in the future, the time will come for Iris to know the truth. And when it does, well, I believe it will be for the best. I think so too. Actually, Professor, I wanted to talk to you about something too. Judging from the expression, I'd say you've come to a decision, have you? Yes, I have. I will be returning with you to Japan. Are you quite sure? I'm really only here as a substitute for Kazuma. But he's here in Britain now, as originally intended. Locums here in Naruhodo doesn't really have a right to stay, I think. I see. Looking back now, when I first arrived here in February, my becoming a lawyer just seemed to be the way things turned out. With Kazuma, Susato-san and Mr. Sholmes all gently pushing me in that direction. I spent the best part of a year immersed in this world, but always aware of a seed of doubt inside me. Until today. Standing in that courtroom earlier, all doubts vanished from my mind. I was totally focused. I was sure of my belief in my client, and I was sure I could see the trial through. And at the end of it, I finally realized, no one else chose this path for me. I chose it myself. Damn. Resolve, würde ich sagen. The path of a defense lawyer, eh? Yes, that's what I am now. That's what I'll be going back with you to Japan as. And that's the path I'll be following for the rest of my life. Well, it sounds like you've made quite a resolution here. I have. Very well then. I must say it's extremely welcome news. I shall make arrangements for your return first things tomorrow, but I don't imagine we'll depart for a few days. Not with the symposium having been cancelled now. Such a shame. Never mind, I'm sure there'll be other opportunities in the future. Well then, I bid you good night. Oh. Susato-san. I just wanted to let you know I'm back. Did you, hear what your father and I were discussing? I'm sorry, I did, yes. I couldn't help, but... Oh! How much did you hear? Well... From the part about Iris' real father, I think. In other words, from the beginning. So you've made up your mind. You return to Japan and continue working as a defense lawyer. Ah, yes, I'm sorry. I really should have consulted you about it. I did want to earlier this evening, actually, but you'd already gone out. Oh no, that's quite alright. I already knew that it's what you decide, Naruhodo-san. You did. Susato-san? Ah! Yes? I suppose this means it has to be farewell soon. I suppose. Aber wieso kann sie nicht mitkommen? You'll be a great help to Kazuma going forward. I mean, I know he's a brilliant lawyer, but he's new to the British courtroom. He'll certainly benefit greatly having a brilliant judicial assistant at his side. I'll do my very best. I wish I could say it, but I just can't. I can't ask her to come with me. After all, she was always supposed to be coming to witness Kazuma's assistant. It's growing late. We should both try to get some sleep. I'm sure you must be exhausted after today. Oh, yes, you're right. Before I retire, let me just say one more time. You really were quite splendid in court today. So if you ask me, anyone who thinks of you as a substitute or a locum should be ashamed of themselves. Susato-san. Thank you. Best girl, Susato-san. Da sind wir wieder, wo das letzte Spiel geendet hat. 7th November, 5:42 AM, Port of Dover, Quayside. Ey, wir haben es gerade 5:52 Uhr, also 10 Minuten später. I can't believe this day's finally come. You're really leaving then, Runo? I'm afraid so, Iris. Thank you so much for everything. I don't know what I would do without your wonderful cooking and delicious tea. Oh, I wish you weren't going. But you have to come back and visit. Say you will. Of course, I promise. Well, it was a very brief reunion, but it was a pleasure to pursue a case with you again after so long. For a while at least, it felt like old times. Yes, I suppose on reflection, there's something to be said for it, having a little fun once in a while. I just go and say goodbye to the professor as well, I think. Alright, Iris, you do that. Oh.
Susato-san.
Als ob es jetzt voiced ist.
I've just checked, Naruhodo-san. Your luggage is already on board. Such a beautiful morning. Perfect for embarking on a journey, isn't it?
Das ist irgendwie ironisch, oder nicht ironisch, aber irgendwie interessant, wie das Ende vom ersten Teil war, dass Susato gegangen ist und jetzt geht Ryunosuke.
Before I set off, I'd just like to say how thankful I am for everything you've done for me. And give my warmest regards to Kazuma, please.
Actually, I think you ought to give him your regards in person, don't you?
Sorry?
Ryunosuke.
Kazuma! What are you doing here?
Do you really think I'd miss my best friend's departure?
Thanks. To be honest, I'd been looking forward to our wild time tearing up the streets of Her Majesty's capital, but,
Well, we'll have to save that for another time. Personally, I'm looking forward to facing you in court again.
Me too. But, we're both defense lawyers, so,
I'm going to become a prosecutor.
Okay.
I'll stay in Lord Van Zeek's tutelage for the time being, but before long, I intend to be just as formidable as the Reaper himself.
Oh, I see.
Actually, Ryunosuke, I have a favor to ask.
Okay.
Name it.
I'd like you to take care of this for me for a while.
Okay.
Karuma? Why?
Because I've seen it now. I've seen what's inside me. The demon that reared its ugly head that day. It was only for the briefest of moments. The last time I came face to face with that inspector. But it was
Okay.
unmistakable. I wanted to kill him. I've always known there are demons that live inside people. And now I know there is one in me. The fact that it very nearly consumed me is something I'll carry with me until the end of my days. While I devote my life to fighting those whose demons have got the better of them. As a prosecutor.
Verständlich.
So, that's what you've resolved to do, is it?
Until I'm ready to face the demon within me. To slay it once and for all. I leave this in your care. If you'll take it.
Of course I will. I'll keep it by my side. Always.
Damn.
Until we meet again, then. You have your path to follow, and I have mine.
Naruhodo-san?
Ja.
The path you're going to follow from now on. I wonder if I might follow it at your side.
Ja, bitte.
Unless I'd be a burden.
Bitte.
What? I mean, I would very much like you to come with me. But aren't you...
You're so predictable, Ryunosuke.
I am?
Honestly, you never change at all. But that's what I like about you.
You mean you knew about this?
It was the evening after Lord Van Zeek's trial came to an end. She came to see me at the prosecutor's office.
Really? Or when I had that conversation with Professor Mikotoba?
So, you'd go with Ryunosuke back to Japan?
Okay. Das war das, was sie gemacht hat.
Yes. I know it's unfair of me to follow my own interests like this.
Coming here especially to tell me. You're a stickler for etiquette, aren't you? Well, what are his feelings?
We've never discussed it, of course, and Naruhodo-san has made no such suggestion. I worry that perhaps I'd be a burden to him.
He's just as much of a stickler for etiquette as you are. He'd never say anything before he was asked. But I'd feel happy knowing you were with him. Look out for him on my behalf, will you?
Of course.
Susato-san.
What do you think, Naruhodo-san?
With you by my side, no trial would seem too daunting. So if you're willing, I'd be honored if you'd come with me. Together we can take on the world.
No.
I'm terribly incompetent, but if you'll have me, I'd be
Sie ist
delighted.
die kompetenteste Assistentin, die wir hatten. Let's be real.
Oh, no, not at all. If anyone's terribly incompetent, it's me. Ah!
What's wrong?
Your luggage, Susato-san. There's no time. The ship's going to set sail any minute now.
It's all right. There's no need to worry. As it happens, my luggage is already on board too.
It is?
Your fine judicial assistant has everything in hand as always, I see.
Honk. Okay.
No! Your ship's about to leave!
Time to go then. Look after yourself, Ryunosuke.
Du auch, Kazuma.
Kazuma, draw your sword.
Oh.
One day, when our paths cross, once more, we'll fight a duel of words across the courtroom. A day I eagerly await as a lawyer.
I've been waiting to hear you say that, partner.
Don't forget me then, Kazuma.
Wow. Schon ein bisschen Gänsehaut.
As if I could, Ryunosuke.
And Mr. Sholmes, thank you so much. I'm very much indebted to you.
Indeed, Mr. Naruhodo. I believe you are.
I'll never forget all you've done for me during my time in London.
Quite. I should like to think you will remember your debt of gratitude.
Es ist wirklich late zu
Especially when
Ende.
I visit you in your country. What? The truth is, although many are ignorant of the fact, the world is far smaller than most folk realize.
Well, I'd be delighted if you came to Japan one day.
Oh yes, would welcome you with open arms, Mr. Sholmes.
Oh, that sounds wonderful! I can't wait!
In that case, let us conclude that this is to be merely a brief parting, my dear fellows.
And that brings us to the end of my adventures in Great Britain.
Okay. Ich würde sagen, ich klinge mich schon mal aus.
A peculiar
Viel
twist
Spaß
of
mit dem
fate brought
Abspann.
me halfway around the world those many months ago. But that was just the start of my journey. Who knows where fate will lead me next? Still, I'm confident this won't be my last meeting with the friends I've made in London. And when we're together again, no doubt the first words I'll hear will be,
Come, the game is afoot.
The ship, with our friends from the east, sailed steadily towards the distant horizon. But Sholmes' face was alight with joy. The times may change, but a steadfast friendship will remain true, Wilson. We have but to gently close our eyes, and we are with our companions once more.
So I do just that. And when I do, I can hear his strong, familiar voice ring out.
Objection!
Until we meet again, Ryuno.
I've been thoroughly inundated with inquiries about my remote cinema, blah blah. I'm no purveyor of electric goods and what of the promised clothes, blah. Anyway, as you said, an absence from London is in order, a certain and distant climes. The Empire of Japan, perhaps. I understand that wardrobe class incurs no charge whatsoever. Entschuldigung, ich bin ein bisschen baff. Oh Mann. I gave a little note to her the other day. It just said, "Thank you for everything, Daddy," but it made her really cry. and I gave him some lotion I invented as well, to dye his hair wet safely. But he said that he might him quite too, so he'd rather not use it. Ja, ich weine gerade. Oh Mann, was ein tolles Spiel. In those days, when I was known as the Reaper, I felt your presence at my side. Once, unable to bear the burden of that grim pseudonym, I even retired from the courtroom. Despite everything, I still wear your prosecutor's badge with pride, but the darkness that once beset me is no more, as you too are no more. In the words of a young foreign friend of mine, I must stride forward, forward to a brighter future. The boss left a note for me, you know? And I can read every letter, A to Z, the whole lot. It's cleared a lot of stuff up. The boss was trying to protect me, see? And that's exactly what me and Chief Inspector Toby are gonna keep doing for Londoners. I only wish I could have said how grateful I was before he, you know. Gina, the truth is I'm not the upstanding fellow you think I am. You might be a diver at heart, but it's a good heart. You've reminded me I need to be true to myself. I've got one more job to take care of before it's stutter toe to London town for the foreseeable. And then, I've got to complete your education in the art of detection a la Gregson, as they say. Your Excellency, this man is accused of illegal entry into our ministry. Objection! Oblique! Overstatement! Overruled! The minister has been detained in Britain anyway. He is as Scottish counsel for the defense and women are forbidden to enter the courtroom. Oh, really? My friend Sir Sutherland is in the British courtroom all the time and doing a wonderful job. Perhaps I should have engaged the services of a regular legal team. Mama, is it true about Japanese people? Are they experts at filleting corpses? Yes, they are. Fish corpses, on the whole. I'd like to hone my own filleting skills. You don't mind, do you, Mama? Yes, I do. I'm not a corpse yet, am I? No. And I'm glad. Here I am again, in Britain, on the invitation of my dear old university friend. He sent me a very nice letter saying he'd like to show me around now that everything was settled. But what have I done? I was so excited. I picked this Planet Hotel and now I can't afford the bill. Oh, Baroque, come to my rescue again, please. I wish I could just vanish into thin air. When I went to make the waxwork impression of the killer in the cemetery, I realized what had happened. But even in the witness stand of the highest court in the land, I could never speak of it. The Lord Chief Justice and I had struck a bargain, you see? For a faithful reproduction of the visage, there's nothing we two spells would not do. Hey, everyone calls me gossip. I just said drunk little tidbits to passers-by, you know? Hey, everyone calls me a pepino, and I sell the spaghetti is more wetter than my header. Hey, everyone, they call me... No, I cannot do it. This is ridiculous. Oh, Daily, how charming. You've made lots of new friends here, I see. Yes, and when we are released, we are all going to strike it rich together. When I was accepted on the foreign study tour, I knew exactly what path I had to take, and however it might have ended, I knew that I wanted you there to see it. If I'd ended up in the dock, there's no one I would have rather had defending me. But now, thanks to you, there's a new path I want to take. I'm sure we'll meet again in the courtroom, my friend. Until then, I leave Karuma in your care. I've made some tea, Naruhodo-san. It's important that you rest while you can. Once we arrive in Japan, you shall be busy establishing your new office. I'm so delighted to be accompanying you. After all, your talents have been recognized by a great detective. Because you really are the greatest of lawyers. A great ace attorney, some might say. Wow. Wow. Was ein Spiel. Was ein Spiel. Ich wurde nicht disappointed. Ich hatte große Erwartungen und wurde nicht disappointed. Das wurde vielleicht sogar noch übertroffen. I don't know. Krass. Es ist 6:13 Uhr, Leute. Draußen geht schon wieder die Sonne auf. Ich bin fertig, ich muss morgen um 9:30 aufstehen. Heute. Oh Mann, aber das war es wert. Das war es sowas von wert. Ja. Was soll man großartig dazu sagen? Ich fand's cool, dass sie Kazuma doch nicht zum Bösewicht gemacht haben. Das Spiel hatte mich, wirklich. Ich habe gedacht, Kazuma ist der Bösewicht, das Big Bad, der nur zurückkommt für das. Und das war zum Glück nicht. Es war der Richter, was ich auch sehr interessant fand. Ich auch sehr interessant geschrieben fand. Genauso wie dieser Fall hier, dass die beiden quasi vom Opfer zum Täter wurden. Das fand ich fand das Spiel allgemein, hatte so viele coole Fälle. Soseki Natsume, auch ein grandioser Charakter. Und ich weiß nicht, ich glaube nicht, dass wir das nochmal wieder, dass wir die nochmal wiedersehen werden. Ich glaube, die Story ist, ist die Story abgeschlossen? Man könnte theoretisch erzählen, was Ryunosuke jetzt in Japan erlebt. Aber wäre es das gleiche? Ohne Sholmes, ohne Iris? Oder zumindest nur mit kleinen Gastauftritten von denen? Wäre es das gleiche? Ich glaube nicht. Ja, keine Ahnung. Ich muss das Spiel verdauen jetzt erstmal. Ich muss es definitiv erstmal verdauen. Holy shit. Und bei Rock war auch nicht der Reaper, sondern Strongheart. Und Strongheart war auch der Professor. Und Junge. Oh Mann. Und Wie man am Anfang auch dachte, hab dem Spiel auch abgekauft, dass Kazumas Vater der Professor ist. Habe ich nicht hinterfragt. Krass. Krass. Keine Ahnung, ich muss das erstmal verdauen. Ich kann das gerade schwer in Worte fassen. Ich bin müde, ich muss ins Bett. Oh Mann. Gregson, schade, dass der gestorben ist. Aber auch krass, dass sie das gemacht haben. Hurlock und Mikoto war auch ein cooler Twist, dass Mikoto war der Partner von Hurlock Jones war und nicht Wilson bzw. Watson. Und auch interessant, wie sie am Ende noch Iris Vater-Mysterium aufgeklärt haben, wie sie Susatos Mysterium aufgeklärt haben, warum sie zurückkehren musste. Es wurde ja alles aufgeklärt. Das hat das Spiel auch grandios gemacht. Ne, alle Plotpoints vom ersten Adventures-Fall bis zum letzten Resolve-Fall, alles aufgeklärt. Also das ist wirklich eine zusammenhängende Geschichte, das muss man zusammenspielen in dieser Chronicles Collection. Und da kreuzen sie die Schwerter. Geile Szene. Allgemein auch die Cutscenes in diesem Spiel. Sie sahen vielleicht etwas clunky aus, aber sie haben mir trotzdem sehr gut gefallen. Auch mit dem Voice Acting und so. Das war schon cool. Capcom. Danke Capcom, dass ihr das lokalisiert habt. Oh Mann. Das war's, Leute. Das war The Great Ace Attorney. Die Geschichte von Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Gänsehaut. Einfach ein Gänsehautspiel. Ace Attorney allgemein. Ja, mal gucken, wenn wir die nächste Geschichte aus dem Ace Attorney Universum bekommen. Ich werde auf jeden Fall dabei sein. Und ich hoffe, ihr auch. The Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve. Fair. Danke, Shutakumi. Danke dafür und danke Capcom, dass ihr es endlich in den Westen gebracht habt. Allgemein die ganze Collection. So, da bin ich nochmal. Oh! Nice, cooles Artwork. Gut, da bin ich dann nochmal. Und ja, es ist 6:18 Uhr. Ich habe um 11:45 angefangen. Ich muss ins Bett, Leute. Ich muss sowas von ins Bett. Ich bedanke mich fürs Zuschauen. Ich bedanke mich fürs dabei sein. Es war geil. Es war eine Reise. Vielen Dank fürs dabei sein auf dieser Reise. Oh, ich glaube, ich muss nochmal ein extra Video machen zu dem Spiel, was so all meine Gedanken zusammenfasst, weil das kann ich jetzt nicht. Das kann ich jetzt gerade nicht. Ich muss das jetzt erstmal verdauen. Und dann mache ich irgendwann nochmal ein extra Video. Ich weiß nicht, wann ihr das seht. Wahrscheinlich erst 2022. Ich nehme das hier gerade am 3. bzw. 4.9. auf. 21. Und das hier kommt erst 2022 raus, wahrscheinlich das Finale. Aber so ist das. Ich bedanke mich fürs Zuschauen, ich bedanke mich fürs dabei sein auf dieser wundervollen Reise. Es war ein großartiges Spiel. Ich weiß noch nicht, wie ich es einordnen würde, ob es jetzt mein Favorite Ace Attorney ist oder nicht. Das weiß ich nicht. Es ist ja eigentlich immer noch Trials and Tribulations. Aber ich muss es mal einordnen. Ich muss drüber nachdenken. Ich muss das alles mal verdauen. Gut, und ich muss jetzt erstmal schlafen. Vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen, vielen Dank fürs dabei sein auf dieser Reise und für ein letztes Mal, nach ich weiß nicht wie vielen Parts, nach ich weiß nicht wie vielen Gigabytes auf meiner Festplatte, die ich verschwenden musste, sage ich Einspruch. Und vielen Dank, wenn ihr es bis hierhin geschafft habt. Dankeschön. Ich hoffe, euch hat das Spiel auch gefallen. Bis dann, macht's gut und ja, gute Nacht.